So I've been hoping for years that Amazon enters multifamily, like really entering, not give our teams the ability to order from Amazon online, like literally compete against HD Supply. Because honestly, all the suppliers, and I love them all. I've been, knowing them and working with them for over 2 decades, but they're not really making a real effort to stay in 2024. I'm really hoping that Amazon comes and competes, because that's gonna like really disrupt the industry. And the industry honestly needs a wake up call like that on a procurement side. We can't just operate businesses like in the 1990s. So glad to have you here, back, most of you, and some of you for the first time. So I want to go around the table and just kind of introduce ourselves. Randy, you go first, sir.
My name is Randy Overbay. I'm a regional maintenance supervisor with Richmond Property Services. Been in the industry a little over 32 years now. So first meeting with all the folks here, and it's good to see you guys.
Randy, since we're at it, I like with the introductions, I like for each one of you to take a few seconds to say what are you hoping to get out of these meetings first, and then secondly, what are some topics of interest for you?
Okay. So what I'm actually hoping to get out of this is a little bit of collaboration and some ideas on hiring of new service techs, maintenance supervisors, service managers, and I'm really interested to get an idea on what the trends of the maintenance world are looking like in the future. There's a lot of talk that I'm hearing of just different ideas that are going around outsourcing of maintenance, those types of issues. And I would like to, for myself, be a little bit more on the leading edge of knowing what those things potentially may look like.
Thank you, Randy, and welcome to the group. Jake.
Yeah, I'm Jake Straight. Right now, I'm a multi-site supervisor for Thrive. I definitely think one of the big things I'd like to see from the group is one, just the connections, because we had talked about that. I think it's just most important, even from state to state. Just knowing what's going on in the industry is so important. And then I think for the maintenance side of things, I just thinking that having that unity in our side of the business is going to be a huge benefit just to everybody. It seems like on the management side, they tend to have a little bit more unity on that side of things, just because I think the laws, tend to be more towards the lease and stuff like that, where we're kind of fixing things. So I think it's going to be important for us just to unify on that level.
If I might add out there, Jake is a rising star in the industry. We just did a podcast, so check it out on both of our YouTube channels, on the Multifamily Hangout and on Multifamily X. We had multiple pieces of content with Jake. I think it's super important for us to highlight, raising stars in the industry and just support them. So thank you for being with us today, and just being with us constantly for the past 6 months. Chris, you're up next, sir.
Oh, hi everybody. Been in multifamily maintenance for about 25 years, and been a maintenance director for Avalon Bay, Aimco, Windsor. Was a facilities director at Michigan State for a few years. I did all this housing on property and all the apartments as well. So a little bit of everything sprinkled in there. Current life is I'm in staffing and such, so I really tuned in when Randy was saying some of the issues they're having finding maintenance folks. I think that's one of the things I'm interested in is what is the labor force looking like out there. I'm seeing it from my end, with us trying to fill so many positions for so many different companies. But again, seeing the trends as well. I think that would be interesting to see what's going on and trending.
Thank you. Leslie?
Hello. Well, my name is Leslie Giroux, and I've been in the industry for almost 30 years. And I'm the director of residential operations for HG Fenton, and I've been working for Fenton 21 years. And what I'm looking to get out of our connection is really having more of a, people that I can reach out to for advice regarding just leading the maintenance team, and recruiting, and how do we attract and retain just our younger generation.
Leslie, welcome back. We're glad to have you here. I'd love to have you on my podcast too, to chat about all things maintenance, to talk shop.
Okay, I would love to.
Let's chat about it after the meeting today.
Okay, already.
Chad, welcome to the group, sir.
Thank you. It's been a long time coming, right? So my name's Chad Wood. I'm with Richmond Property Services. I have been in the business a little over 30 something years. I'm not real sure. But I think that first of all, Adrian, I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing from your stuff on LinkedIn, and some of your interviews you've done, and we really need a voice for maintenance, and I feel like you are that voice, and seeing everybody on here really it goes a long way. I'm very happy to be a part of this. I am really interested, number one, in we are a very paper-based industry, maintenance, and getting maintenance people to stop using paper and kind of switch gears over to technology, meaning, iPads, phones, whatever, has been a real challenge for us. We've spent tens of thousands of dollars on technology, and I just can't seem to get people to embrace the technology portion, meaning work orders, maintenance MIQ, preventive maintenance, everything that we've had pieces of paper for the 30 years I've been in the business really doesn't need to be that way anymore. And with all the lawsuits and everything that happens on a regular basis, I think it's really important that we can figure out how to get our teams to get more invested in the technology portion of the world. I mean, it's kind of like when you look back in leases 30 something years ago, or even the leases for people, everything was on paper, right? And now most everything is computerized, and everything is in a place where we don't have to have a file cabinet anymore, right? Even if you're an affordable site, you don't have to have that file cabinet. So that's number one. Number two, I got a lot of ideas kind of stirring in my head. I've talked to several people regarding AI and maintenance, how we can streamline the industry by utilizing AI. And, a lot of people say AI and maintenance, it doesn't make any sense, but the back end of how we can take work orders, and as long as there's good information in, we can almost have AI help us identify a problem before we even walk in the door. If not, handle that issue over the telephone with a robot. So that's stuff that I'm really interested in looking at. 5 years from now, I can imagine a much, we all struggle. You have to have people that turn the tool, right? But we need the side that basically identifies that issue. You just look at, like Randy and I, we've been worked together forever, but we didn't have hey, let's Google this, or hey, let's go on to YouTube to figure out how to fix something, right? And look how far we've come just with that little piece. So I think that's another thing I'm really interested in. And the last thing, and I could go on, but I'm not going to. But the last thing I think is just to gain insight from you guys, right? Scott and I worked together on React years ago. I don't remember. It's like, geez, how long has it been, Scott?
I want to say about 8 or 9 years, Chad.
8 or 9 years ago, we worked on a project together, and really we haven't talked since then. I mean, I've said, hey, how's it going? And that's about it. Just kind of figuring out what's going on in I say in the real world, here I am in an office, kind of, and also creating and continuing with relationships that have been built in the past. So hopefully that kind of explains why I'm here.
Well, listen, I'm super excited to have you here. Thank you for your kind words. I'm hoping that we could make the time to, do like a one-on-one podcast. I haven't had you as a guest on my podcast yet. I think this is like a great first meeting for you because kind of like, the main topic that you just mentioned, technology is gonna be like the first thing on our agenda. So I want to go, as deep as possible into that technology, how we leverage and how we vet technology, and what do we use it for. The good news is that the great news is that actually there's product out there. You might not, be sounds like you haven't been exposed to it yet, that has higher adoption rates because it's built better, and it's built with the end user in mind. It's actually typically built by end users. In other words, management companies that were as frustrated as you are spending tens of thousands of dollars on technology, they just decided, okay, we're not gonna keep throwing money at this issue. We're going to spend the money, but we're gonna build our own solution. They went ahead and they built it, and now there's solutions like that that are available in a marketplace that are actually greatly designed because they've been designed with the end user in mind, unlike just most of the tech that I'm running into, designed by some tech guys, very smart people, but don't have anything to do with the end user, right? They have that disconnect. And that's what I've learned. When you get the end user involved, you get the best products possible because you have them help, like not asking for feedback, but actually have them involved in the process directly. You get the best results out of there because the end user is gonna put that on their phone, and he's gonna say like, this is not how this works in the field. This is how you gotta do it. And the tech people, they're smart, they're just gonna make it happen. So that's the great news. We'll go more in depth after we finish the introductions on a technology topic. Scott.
Thanks, Adrian. My name is Scott Ployer. I am the president of National Property Management Strategies Group. I set up the company 5 years ago next month. We provide strategic planning, process improvement, corporate lifecycle optimization by helping management companies, housing authorities, CDCs, improve efficiencies by minimizing redundancy. And I know that Adrian's passionate about the technology piece of this, reducing redundancy, and we're all interested in it, especially those of us who came up, in the conventional markets as well, on how do we do that while increasing our resident retention numbers. That's, to me, I think that, if people move for whatever reason other than job change or military or something like that, we probably haven't done what we needed to do as a group. And oftentimes, as proven by many surveys, people get frustrated with maintenance not, coming in soon enough or quick enough, or they don't have enough people on staff. So what I try to listen for and help them and share with my clients is everything that we talk about as a group, and how we're going to adapt and adjust to this. There are over 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day between now and the end of 2027. For every 10 that retire, my understanding from the Department of Labor is only 2 people are coming into the trades. And let's face it, that's what we are. We're in that group of folks in the trades. We're only bringing in 2 of the 10 for the 10 that left. We're going to get to, serious constriction really quickly. And we're competing against the hospitality industry, the construction industry, contractors, everybody's fishing from the same pond. Well, we've got to come up with better ways. And I know Adrian is truly passionate about technology and optimizing that. But I've been doing this for 38 years now. I think I'm probably the old guy in the group. But, I know that one of the big challenges is getting our workforce to adopt the technology that we know can be helpful. And that's for a lot of different reasons. But, what I hear with my folks, from around the country is a lot of it is limited English proficiency. They don't understand it. So if we can work with the providers that are providing this optimization and make sure that they can provide, their platforms with some type of a translator into Spanish or Haitian Creole or one of the other primary languages, I think we're going to find ourselves in a much better place as an industry to recruit and retain the best talent out there.
Well, Scott, the great news is, once again, there's technology that exists that does that direct instant translation for different languages. And of course, Spanish is going to be the top of the list because, like, it's kind of like the second language after English spoken in United States. So that technology exists out there already, where people could actually type in their own language and translate into, like, English from there, or like get stuff translated from English into the language, primarily Spanish, I would say. So that's great news. And by the way, we haven't really talked about it, but you have an open invitation to be on my podcast as well, to do a one-on-one.
Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Peter, you're next, sir.
Peter Christensen, work for Centerspace, Director of Maintenance and Purchasing. We're a REIT that was established through the Midwest. My main thing that I would like to get from this is kind of along both the lines of trends and technology, but establishing KPIs for maintenance. Currently, we have KPI for preventative maintenance and turns. Working on one for work orders as well, and would kind of wonder how people track that, how you reward it, and then what are the standards that you do in general. And then just like excited to hear what the different topics are, especially technology. I think that is going to be beneficial. AI in the future is going to be the way to go.
Yeah, I'm starting to repeating myself, but the great news is that there's technology that's being made for for the pain points that you mentioned. So that's great. Mike Mangum. First of all, Mike, congratulations to your promotion. For those of you that haven't heard yet, Mike has been promoted to VP. So I'm super proud of everything you accomplished, and I'm grateful for your support to the group and being part of this amazing group.
Thanks, Adrian. So Mike Mangum, I'm with WPM Real Estate Management, and I think we've all been trying to solve these problems, and no one has come up with a solution. I don't think any one person comes up with a solution. So what I'm looking to get out of these calls is simply everyone's perspective, right? You keep hearing this over and over from all of us. I think it's the group that comes up with the solution in the end, right? An idea here, it's then snowballs into a more developed thought. And all along the way, we're able to kind of see what we're doing in different regions, different locales, different setups. So I think it's really the information from the collective group that gets us the answer in the end, and happy to be part of it.
Thank you, Mike. Mike Malloy, welcome back, sir.
Hey, welcome everyone. Mike Malloy with the NRP Group, developer market rate and affordable housing. I've joined this call a few times. I think it's excellent. I joined just to kind of, build new relationships, maintain relationships with peers, and just, I think try and solve some of the same. We're all dealing with the same challenges, and try and approach it for what's best for the industry, and just try and learn from one another and share what experience I have with others.
Well, welcome back, Mike.
Thank you.
Let's get right into it. Technology and automation. First, topic, like subtopic, would be technology as a tool to relieve the pressure on staff, right? As we all know, automation can support current staff by streamlining tasks and improving operational efficiency. But more than ever, it helps when you're short-staffed. And I think, like most of us in the room, experience different levels of that. So I like to discuss technology as a tool to relieve pressure on staff. How is it for you, that particular technology currently, and where do you see some areas of improvement? What is it missing in a picture for you? Because maybe there's someone else in the room that might have a solution for that. Jake, you want to go first?
Yeah, we're kind of experiencing it right now. We just State Street just opened up, and we're going to be opening up Grand Street here. And you get a lot of those work orders where it's just, we do the walkthrough with people, but I don't know if it's just lack of paying attention or just not the full understanding of like the appliances when they use them. But having some level of, I think large quantity of people use Yardi, but it would be nice if Yardi can almost detect those work orders that seem like they're a nuisance work order, where it's just a call that's just like, no, you have to set the setting on the washer before you press the button for it to work. It's just these really redundant work orders. We're putting in like YouTube videos and stuff like that for our residents, but it would be interesting if you could detect that version of a work order and then have it just kind of send out those videos with an automatic response. I guess you kind of lack then at that point the ability to have that conversation with somebody, but I know getting rid of some of those nuisance work orders would be a great thing.
Before going to the next person, I want to stop and want to welcome Davon. Welcome to the group, sir. Please introduce yourself. Tell us what are you trying to get out of being part of our group, and what are some main topics that you like to see part of these conversations that we're having.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Davon. I work with Southern Management. I've been with Southern Management going on 21 years. The CapEx project manager, I handle the mechanical projects. And what I would like to get out of this group is basically like trying to learn some different tips and tricks that Southern Management we may benefit from, and see areas where I may be able to contribute to you guys as well. So
welcome. Glad to have you here. Randy.
I'm sorry, Adrian, I got derailed there. Can you repeat that question for me?
Yes, absolutely. Technology as tool to relieve pressure on your maintenance staffs.
Okay, so
currently, what's missing, what opportunities for improvement do you see?
Okay, so in listening to the first answer, I'd actually written myself a note. I would actually agree that it would be great if some of the work order management programs that are used, if they almost had like an FAQ, a frequently asked question, to where if a resident was having difficulty getting a digital thermostat, if there were something that could walk them through it. I know in our industry, one of the challenges that we would have to be able to overcome with that would be people actually reading the FAQ. Especially if you're dealing with seniors, we, may still have seniors who don't have computers. I think some of the new automations that we have put out with MIQ, using a digital platform rather than the paper. Once we work through getting everyone trained, getting any and every bug worked out of the system, I definitely see where that's going to expedite the work. It's going to make it easier, and then you're going to eliminate losing the paperwork, having it get rained on or misplacing it, because then it's going to be in that digital format, and a little bit easier to go back and recall that information.
Chris? I think you're muted.
I had a lot of phones ringing, so I turned it off. As far as how it can assist, I think we've seen it partner with, I think somebody said it, where they're doing the consolidation of the maintenance teams as well. So it's that sharing of that information and just making everything readily available. One of the best things that I think we've come across, as far as, I don't know if it's considered AI, but as far as the technology, is actually the speak to take notes. I saw a huge increase in the amount of detail, because I'm sure all of you have had the work orders that say done, which tells us a lot. but being able to share that information and have it catalog in such a way that it's easy to find for that next technician, I think would be a fantastic leap forward. So they don't have to read through all the notes, but you can actually have it categorized as they put the notes in, so it's easy for the next tech.
Leslie?
Yeah, to kind of share, I think technology, innovation, so we're leveraging HappyCo for our work orders and all that. And then also the Power BI, KPI dashboards to give us some metrics for that. But I think there's opportunities when it comes to innovation. I've always envisioned how can we simplify and improve our maintenance productivity with inventory. It would be great if our inventory could have some kind of sensor, right? As you put your parts in, in the box, if there's a sensor that can say, oh, that this, how many parts have been taken, or what's being used, and automatically submit like an invoice, like a request to order and the parts and supplies. But I think there's great opportunities out there that we haven't explored. One of the things that I'm looking into to see how can we use technology for a product knowledge of the properties, right? I'm looking at ARC facilities. I don't know if any of you guys have looked at ARC facilities, and to have like a more power, like a book that has the power information for a maintenance to be successful, and a property knowledge that tells everyone that's going in and out of doing a water heater, or when's the last time you replaced it, really having that knowledge at the fingertips. So I think there's opportunities there. I just think there's a lot more for us to explore.
You're making a great point out there, Leslie, and Amazon uses that weight-based inventory. So I've been hoping for years that Amazon enters multifamily, like really entering, not give our teams the ability to order from Amazon online, like literally compete against HD Supply. Because honestly, all the suppliers, and I love them all. I've been, knowing them and working with them for over 2 decades, but they're not really making a real effort to stay in 2024. They're just seeing
I
their
agree.
models on like super old stuff and on exclusivity. This is another topic that at a later point I would love to bring back on, because in today's environment we can't really raise rents, like they're stagnant. Companies are struggling, like getting more rent, and then the next thing that you could do to maximize the efficiency of operation is to look at the expenses and see how can we spend better, like smarter. And the way to pick just one exclusive vendor when it comes to MRO, that's like not the way to do it. I've done studies on my own that show that actually picking at least 2 vendors to compete for your business, it could save you probably in a neighborhood of 20% of what you're currently paying with just one, regardless of how great of a deal you get. We'll get into that situation, but go back to the original point. I'm really hoping that Amazon comes and competes, because that's gonna like really disrupt the industry, and the industry honestly needs a wake up call like that on a procurement side. We can't just operate businesses like in the 1990s with very little innovation.
Correct.
So that was it for my rant. Chad.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. So, I mean, I'm with Leslie and Chris. I mean, I see the same kind of world, right? I mean, if we can get beyond the done, writing the done on the work order, right? That actually, again, back to AI, can create of where the part thing that you just talked about, Leslie, of what part comes out. Let's say that of course you have to train it, right? And it takes time, but it starts with good information in. So you teach your maintenance people to fill out the work order and what part that they're replacing. And what you see is eventually you turn that into a drop down, right? So once that becomes a drop down and that part is selected for that refrigerator, then that refrigerator has received the new, flux capacitor or whatever. And basically that flux capacitor, the maintenance shop knows that flux capacitor is gone, right? So on a new property, we start seeing that flux capacitor happen over and over again. My dream is now we have a latent defect. Okay. Now we're paying zero for that part because we're reaching out to the manufacturer and we're handling it in that way. So I really think that, if we can eliminate the done or complete or finished or whatever, and we can start feeding this thing data, I can take all of we use Yardi. We can take all of Yardi, we can dump it into this AI deal, and then AI could pretty much, determine, okay, so in apartment 101, you replace the fan relay on the air condition in 2024. From what we see on your property, you will probably need to replace that again in 2027. I'm just making up numbers, okay? And you can budget appropriately for that, okay? The other thing is we all know the parts that go on the backs of golf carts, right? I mean, and they just go to an existence of gone because they've been rained on or whatever. You pull the part by the work order. Um, and it is scanned out as you go or as you are putting it, installing it into the unit if needed. I just think there's a lot of, I mean, Walmart does it, the grocery stores do it. They know every single piece of food that is in that building. And it's a heck of a lot bigger than a maintenance shop. So we have to figure out how to, get our hands around these parts going out, right? You can even break it down to regionally. You see one region's using a lot of refrigerant, right? And by that, you can figure out maybe I have a training issue in that area, right? Maybe I have so it gives us a lot of latitude. From what we're using now, Randy spoke to it a little bit. We're using Yardi. We are having problems with MIQ. We are having issues to where if it's a Wi-Fi device, let's just say, or it's a cellular device, the cellular will sometimes, if they drop cellular, it'll go to Wi-Fi and then you have a problem, or vice versa. Uploads are taking a very long time. We're working with Yardi to try to figure out how to do better on uploads. And if anybody has already experienced this is why I'm here, is I want to know what are you doing to fix it. Again, I turned the paper off to the properties, okay, so they couldn't print it anymore. So they were forced to use the technology, but they're smart, right? Maintenance people are smart. We're creative people. So they screenshot it and they print it. So basically, if there's anything y'all are seeing that here is helping Yardi or with Yardi where you had these hiccups, I definitely would like to hear some insight on that.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I think that there's great news that the technology exists out there. I also think it's unfortunate that large companies like Yardi are not gonna develop the seamless technology for maintenance. Maintenance is just like a necessary evil, if you wish, because they need to have the suite of all the services of everything we use, right? So they could be the one-stop shop, but it's not how they sell their product. It's not how they're making their money by having an amazing maintenance product, right? They're focusing, as we probably all know here, on accounting and other parts of the business, and they're doing those very well. The rest of them, they just had to do them just okay, just well enough to get by. So I unfortunately I don't see like them being forced to become like really, really good and actually serve us as we need them to. It's going to be a solution that's not going to be a large shop like RealPage or Yardi. And I wanted to be proved wrong because so many of us, like a huge percentage of institutional multifamily is being served by those by those giants, but they don't have an incentive to invest into the maintenance technology. I believe that's my opinion. I would love to be proved wrong.
I mean, listen, I don't understand. I mean, listen, I agree with you. Okay. I just feel like they don't understand that all of this ties to accounting. All of this, expenses are a big portion, and it comes directly from maintenance. And if they were to figure out, like you said, you have to buy every like little bell and whistle, in order to get anything from Yardi. If they could figure out a really good asset tracking, parts where we tied everything together to back to the work order, right? And the punch out. I mean, it would be gold, and it really would help out the executives that are counting the beans, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the unfortunate part is that typically institutional multifamily is very siloed. It is very siloed. So when it comes to departments communicating, and like you said, Chad, we have a common goal, right? There's a lot of accounting involved in maintenance too. And if you're not gonna make things work for maintenance, that's gonna affect accounting. So it's like a chain effect. But the silos tend to like think within the silo, not outside. And breaking those silos, it's tough. But I hope that right here, we could have great conversations, take them back to our teams, and just influence, influence a change. That's my goal. That's my hope that we could accomplish out here. Peter.
Yeah, I kind of first wanted to comment on both the Amazon thing and then Yardi first, because it's things that we're dealing with. I know been speaking with Amazon recently, and like you were saying with the purchasing aspect of it, is that they are projected to be on Yardi Marketplace this fall as a punch out vendor, which would be a pretty big step for them. And I think in regards to our company, when that happens, I think that you will see them take over. It's funny when you're talking to them and other platforms, they think they're like, oh no, they're just going to be the tail spend. They are not actually going to be a primary. And I totally view it as different. I think they're gonna take over everything. As some of you may know, if you have a Prime membership with a business Prime membership with them, they have like healthcare packages that they're offering for your company. They have package lockers. They have a whole bunch of different things. We're not taking advantage of that right now, but I think they are positioned to take over, even though they don't view it that way. But and then as far as Yardi goes, I'm also working through some of that. I know going from Wi-Fi to cellular for us in MIQ makes you kick out of the system, and then you have to re-log in. And for our company, you need to do a multi-factor identification, which takes 2 minutes, but it feels like it's 10 minutes out of your day. And then the maintenance guys usually end up wanting to smash the phone because they're doing it so many times. A tip for that is you can take it, turn off your Wi-Fi signal, and then it will not continue to log you in and out. Because basically it'll ask you that almost every single day. If you take that phone home and then bring it back, it'll ask you that every day. So that's one way around it. Another thing is they do have Yardi reps or representatives assigned to your account that you can submit a ticket for. And the more tickets that get submitted with the same interest for different companies, it moves it up on their development list. So it's something I brought up, but I think it's good for everybody to know that if you want something done, you can work with them to some degree. But like you were saying, MIQ is not where they're going to put their money into. So it's kind of something that you almost have to manually develop with them. It takes some time, but if you can make it to custom suit your needs, that's beneficial. I would say, similar to what I was saying for the other stuff, is if you to leverage AI for stuff would be absolutely great. I think, like Jake was saying, with when there's certain work orders that come in, if they can be handled automatically or given direction to the companies, I think there's great area improvement in there. I know that is also something Yardi is looking at, but I think they're further away than other companies to have. But I don't know if that fully answered the question, but it I wanted to bring up the other points that I was noticing on that, and hopefully that's beneficial information for other people.
Totally, very beneficial, especially the Amazon part. I'm gonna double down what you said. Amazon is not getting into any business to just be the fifth wheel. They're in to dominate. They will dominate. They're just way too powerful at this point. And especially in multifamily, we're like behind every other industry, or most of the industry, I should say, because I don't know all the industries, but we're typically behind when it comes to technology innovation and all of that. So I can't imagine it's gonna take them long to dominate. Jake, you had your hand up, sir. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so out of curiosity, so Amazon for us too, tends to be way cheaper on price most of the time, and we would want to use them. How do you think we're going to combat fee managed companies? Because HD Supply is giving kickbacks to these companies, which is a large source of income, at the end of the year. So do you guys feel that Amazon might reach there? Because I think that's where we're kind of getting told, hey, order from HD Supply, because it's a tax break, I think, towards our companies. So I think that's going to be one of our hardest combat points. I don't think it's Amazon alone. I think it's the dollar bills.
I I think they'll break the monopoly because the pressure is gonna come from the ground up. People at the site level will say like, we need Amazon, like that's what we need. That's what works for us. And ultimately, rebates or no rebates, I think they're gonna cave into the pressure. And then ultimately, any person that's analytical, that run numbers, when they look at kickbacks, and also they're looking at how they're saving throughout the year, I think it's a pretty easy case to make. And I'm sure that Amazon will also be inclined to say, okay, we're gonna be those guys on price, and we also give you the kickbacks. They're gonna structure the deals in such a way to where it's very easy to compare, to be apples to apples. Peter, please.
So currently if you get a Prime membership, which by the way, if you talk to your Amazon rep, they'll give it to you for free, which is like a $10,000 value depending on your status. That's the highest status. Which is based on the amount of accounts that you have, but they have a rebate structure as well. And theirs is like, after $500,000, you get 2% back. And after $750,000, you get 3% back. And I imagine, that just keeps going up as you do more business. And I'm sure you can personally structure deals with those two. I don't know what everybody's HD or Lowe's or whatever, but I know like HD, we just have a discount. Lowe's, we do have a rebate program through the Lowe's MVP. But Amazon would equal that.
I'm sure they will. Chad?
Yeah, so when you've been working with them, Peter, is there a way to standardize product? Because my biggest fear would be we would end up with a lot of garbage going onto the properties, because they would look at the smallest, the cheapest faucet, for instance, which would, could possibly cause a massive flood, versus something that, is more substantial. Good price, but substantial. Do you know that they set these kind of parameters for you?
Yes, you work with them and they will establish your, if you want a very specific catalog for certain items, they can make it so that is the only one that's available.
Okay.
Michael Mangum, you're next, sir.
A lot of good information there. I think this is an area where, talking about technology, the technology exists and it's definitely ahead of us in the multifamily space. And to Adrian's point, how all the management companies operate differently and in silos, that we all want the same thing, right? We're all sitting here saying, oh, that's a great idea. We need to leverage technology, utilize technology, but we all use it in vastly different ways. And I think there's so the identifying the right technology is one half of it, but the training piece is huge, right? So even for organizations, including our own, where we've implemented technology, we still have to overcome the training hurdle, right? Where traditionally a lot of maintenance technicians shy away from it, right? They're like, well, here's an iPad. You can do everything on an iPad. Look, it's so easy. And they're like, well, I'd rather just write done on the work order, to Chad's point, right? I'd rather just write unclogged garbage disposal, done, finished. So I think there's that training component that we can have the answer all day long. If we don't get past the second part of it, we're still right where we started. We utilize the cellular and Wi-Fi technology piece on iPads on site. And we run into certain roadblocks, but I think the biggest one is someone sitting down and doing the data input, whether it's AI related or not, whether you use voice text, putting the information in there. So you really got to have the right platform that fits your organization. I don't think it's a one size fits all.
Again, going back to a couple of remarks from earlier on, I'm obsessed with this, Uber for maintenance concept, and there is technology out there that actually eliminates a lot of that, like manual. When you said, someone has to input, yeah, it's going to be the end user, the technician. You make it like you force them. You don't allow anybody else to use it, and if the technology is built so user friendly, so frictionless for the end user will actually end up completing the task. I'm seeing it happen. I'm seeing products out there with very high adoption rates thanks to that. Scott?
I hear what everybody's saying, and as Adrian, as you know, back in one of the first meetings we had, I actually wrote a work order program back in 1987 to track work orders. And one of the things that Harvard University wanted me to do was to put in a declining inventory feature, where we simply used barcodes at the time. Now we've advanced, we're up to QR codes. So we could keep track of the inventory, and it would automatically go to the procurement officer, and the procurement officer would get the orders on a daily basis, aggregate them together, and make sure that the supplies were always in the supply room when needed. The other piece of that is that, speaking to the data input, there is a feature with every program, no matter who the provider is, of a fixed asset inventory program. A lot of people don't avail themselves to this. I had occasion to avail myself to it years ago. People may remember the old General Electric hot point recall on dishwashers when the timers were sticking and they were catching fire. Well, I'm anal retentive, and because I was one of those, early adopters back in the late 80s for computerized technology maintenance, that I knew that at a property that I was overseeing as a regional manager at the time of 1,400 units, I knew exactly where all of our appliances were, what the model numbers were, what the serial numbers were, and when they went in. So it was very easy for me when the Consumer Product Safety Commission did the recall, that we identified on that property over 700 units that could be replaced for free by GE Hotpoint. I had 3 huge trailers, show up on the property and just drop all the dishwashers. That was pivotal. We didn't have any fires. We weren't one of the folks dealing with that, but I took advantage of the upfront cash outlay by the manufacturer to curtail our capital expenditure program, improve our efficiency, so we weren't doing work orders unnecessarily on dishwashers, and in the end, save the company money. But a lot of people don't avail themselves to that technology. And as Adrian has said on other episodes, when we have products like Yardi, MRI, Rentroll, Boston Post, any of these platforms, you can buy pieces a la carte. And, if you're a small company, you can get the basic package. If you're a mid-sized company, you can get this package. And if you're really all in, you buy the big behemoths. But the problem is that people don't always use all the technology that's available. I think it needs to be a leadership approach. And, this is a good group of people. We need to say from the top down, this is the way it's going to be. Everybody has to be an adopter. We'll take people under our wing, even the folks that are challenged and may take 3, 4, 5, 6 times to get them to understand how to do it. But it's incumbent upon us in leadership to make sure our teams in the field are doing everything that they can. And then we're going to see a sector-wide rebalancing of all of this so that we can do the best possible jobs that we know we can.
Mike Malloy?
I think the conversation about the inventory control is very interesting to me. It's something that I've searched for a long time. The whole conversation about technology is something I've been, I'm listening to all of you talk, and I've gone through all of these painful exercises with Yardi. I explored their fixed asset program. I've, demoed all of these different add-ons or whatever they want to consider. And I don't know what's right. Like we've bought all of we basically have their whole suite of products. And I think they're good at selling those products, but not necessarily good at implementing them or supporting them. I guess I would just share what our company does, and it's, just so everyone kind of knows, and, from a technology standpoint. We use Yardi. We use Yardi Marketplace for our procurement of, of MRO supplies. And, I launched that in 2017 as like a static hosted catalog, and the issues at that time, there wasn't the whole punch out, or all of our suppliers didn't offer punch out. And the issue with that was, what became of that is that you didn't have real-time pricing and availability. So, we switched to the punch out. Now, the downside, in my opinion, of punch out is that it kind of takes away the price like the ability to price shop. So our maintenance guys have a tendency to just punch out to whatever supplier they're used to using, or whoever, whatever local rep is bringing them lunch and whatnot. And they're just going and buying the part directly from that supplier and not using punch out the way, using it as true marketplace to price shop. I'm very excited about Amazon, the potential of Amazon. I do agree. I think they will be a player in this industry. We looked at a bunch of different KPI, BI software, and we ended up building our own in-house. Like our company built our own. So we have like a similar, like I've seen Domo is one of, like a lot of companies have, but we have all these different widgets. So the KPIs, so there's, I've got probably 16 different widgets on my basic dashboard, everything from work orders, vacant turns, financial health. And then there's all of these different invoices, POs, and all of these different analytics feed into a scorecard. So we went from we changed the way we bonus our on-site associates and really our regional manager. Everybody now is on this same incentive program based on the scorecard of their property or their portfolio. And some of the downsides is, yes, like there are people who are trying to game the system, and you lose some of that. But at the end of the day, I think it all kind of catches up to you at some point. I think it's a fair way to, and it's very transparent. You can see at any given time where you stand, how hey, if I get this unit turned, how is that going to impact my score this month? And there's a calculator built in that you can see what your bonus potential is, and based on these different analytics. So it's just, we're trying to evolve with technology, and have, as our portfolio grows, having the ability to see and check in and just kind of keep an eye on what's going on. And I've gotten to the point where, like, I used to run a bunch of reports to see where things, from a maintenance perspective, how we were doing. And now I can, like, I kind of see, like, oh, that number looks high. Like, I know that, well, all of a sudden we've got vacant unit number is high, and it kind of allows me to dive in. And so, like, I've gotten accustomed to where we should be at certain points and what numbers look elevated or concerning, and so on. So I'm hoping it has the same effect on, everyone at the regional and site level as well.
Mike, you pointed out a couple of things that I've been seeing for a long time when it comes to procurement, like the misses that the current marketplaces have, right? Instead, like having an integrated solution, you have either the punch out or the other one that doesn't allow like real-time pricing. And what that ends up doing is, you shop for pricing that's not up to date, and it goes back to the managers to do PO change orders or on every single invoice, which is ridiculous, or get like stuff that's not being shipped because the particular item has been discontinued.
Yeah,
that
but there's no communication, right? And that goes back to that whole conversation that Yardi could solve that problem, right? Like they could support it and they could create that dashboard or landing page, but they, like you said, they don't really have an interest in supporting the maintenance or MRO side, right? They leave it up to the suppliers, they'll get their information and they're only gonna pass it through.
100%. I like to make it very punctual, and then like discuss this during our next meeting, because I can't believe that we're like in a position where we could actually use every penny that we have, and we're not actually looking at like millions of dollars that large companies are leaving on the table.
Yeah.
Peter, you're muted, sir.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I was wondering if that scorecard is something that you developed, or is it something you purchased, or if it is something you developed, are you willing to share it?
I mean, I'm sure I'd be willing to show it or whatever. I mean, we have in-house developers who do, develop whatever. We looked as a kind of the leadership group of our property management team got together and said, hey, like, how do we want to weigh this? Like, what are the different analytic or different KPIs that we want to weigh or be considered in this? And I mean, we really broke it down. We have our portfolio, again, we have like Class A market rate, but then we have LIHTC tax credit properties. So those are separate. And then we do lease ups and stabilized. And we did, we just kind of all talked about what's important, like, hey, work orders and unit turns and how quickly are they turned. And it was a very collaborative process. I'd be happy to kind of share the weight, like the different categories, how they're weighted and all those things. And, happy to share my, show how it works or whatever. I mean, but I don't know anything about how the code is written or how it was developed.
I would be very interested in that too, like see it and then just see it. Yeah.
Devon, do you wanna share with us some thoughts on technology, current situation, opportunities?
So I may be a bit behind the curve, because well, you guys don't know, but Southern, we're kind of behind the buck when it comes to technology. And it's not really, I'm not going to place the blame on one person or another, but it's just, we struggle with technology for many years. But one thing I would like to see in the future, I don't know if it's out, it probably is out there. I'm pretty sure it is somewhere, but automations for work orders that require multi-steps. I think that's something that my company and a lot of other companies that could benefit from. And if it is out there, then I think we need to get in the position where we could take advantage of that. So it's one of my quick thoughts I thought about.
Yeah, nothing wrong to with saying that. Look, seems like we're here to learn, other than just kind of share what we're doing. That's what we do all the time at different times, all of us here. So I'm glad you're here. It's the right place to be, really. I want to thank you all. I know that we're up on time. We'll follow up in 3 weeks. I think I wanted to make procurement like the main topic of the conversation, and how we could actually like practically save millions of dollars for our companies, because there's an opportunity out there. And I think if the conversation starts with us, we could take it to the suppliers and push them to make some changes. And now it's not just us. By the way, it's Amazon that's entering too, and that's gonna force them to make changes. They have no choice if they want to stay in a
It's going
business.
to cause a lot of people to fold.
So thank you all so much for being here. See you all in 3 weeks. Have an amazing afternoon or morning if you're on the West Coast. Take care.
Have a good one.
Thank you.